Greetings internet friends, AJ here from 8-Bit Horse, and today I'm going to tell you the story of the very first video game I ever bought with my own money. So we're rolling into the late 1980s, and the NES is the big thing. By Christmas of 1987, about half of my friends owned one, including myself, and the thing is, getting an NES for Christmas meant that most of us just had one game to play, Super Mario Brothers. And it's a solid game, it's a good game, and it's really good showcase for what the system can do, especially for those of us who were coming off of the Atari 2600 as our most recent system. This thing, it's got bright colors and smooth scrolling, lots of different enemies and areas, but man, it's pretty tough. Like, I had a lot of friends growing up that never were able to beat this game, even though for a lot of us, this is the only game we even had for a while. For several months, our NES collection consisted of just that one game, and my parents were adamant, if we were going to get more games for our system, we needed to spend our own money. And at that time, our allowance was $2 per week. So that is a lot of saving to get an NES game. So after 2.5 months of doing chores and saving up, my brother and I each had $20. We could afford to buy one bargain bin discount game, but we could add to our collection of one game. Back in the heyday of the NES, we didn't have any local specialty shops to buy video games, but a lot of stores sold them, so it wasn't uncommon for us to buy our games from Kmart or Hills or Sears, or if we were really lucky, we would go to Children's Palace. So I don't remember what store we were in, but I remember there just being a wall of games, like an overwhelming amount of stuff to choose from. But since we only had $20 to spend, we were limited down to a smaller section. That helped narrow things down a little bit. So this is early 1988. There's no internet. Heck, there's not even Nintendo Power Magazine yet. We just had the Nintendo Fun Club newsletter. So all you really had to go on was the back of the box to figure out what you wanted to buy, what you're going to spend your money on, knowing that that's going to be the only new game you have for months. And so my brother picked Winter Games, which is a story I will save for another video, and I bought Balloon Fight. Everybody was balloon fighting. Part of my motivation for picking Balloon Fight was that it had two-player simultaneous play. So unlike Super Mario Brothers, we had to take turns, both of us could play at the same time. Now, I don't think I knew when I bought this game that it played like Joust, but it just so happens that one of my all-time favorite video games on the Atari 2600 was Joust. Like, my brother and I sank hours and hours and hours into the Atari 2600 version of Joust. So we were already familiar with the sort of unusual controls that were in Balloon Fight. We kind of took to it. And in retrospect, I'm not, like, I think Balloon Fight probably gave me an unrealistic expectation of how many Joust-like games were out there. Like, it was pretty common to me, but I guess it's pretty unusual. Unlike Joust, Nintendo made the game a little bit easier by giving you one button for a single flap and another button for continuous flapping, so you don't have to keep mashing the button, which makes for some pretty precise flying, and you can also take two hits because you've got two balloons strapped to your back. It just is a little harder to fly when you've got one balloon. If you have a second skilled player, you can help each other out a lot by working different parts of the screen, but you can also cause problems for each other, right? You could pop the balloons on each other's backs, or you can knock the other guy into enemies. My brother and I played this a lot since it was one of the few games in our collection, but I never really got to play it much with my friends because it's a hard game to learn. If you've never played a game like that before, it's hard to get through the controls and actually get good at it. So I played it on my own as well. I got good enough that I could eventually loop the levels back around to the earlier configurations, and I could get a high rank, the top rank, in the less exciting single-player balloon trip mode. Like Super Mario Brothers, this game has bright colors, cute designs, and an overall just whimsical feeling, especially with the tune that they play in balloon trip mode and in the bonus levels. It's downright jaunty. So these days, if I'm looking for a two-player arcade experience, I'm more likely to sit down with Mario Brothers or Joust. But Balloon Fight will always hold a special place for me, not only because it was the first game I bought with my own money, but because it was a legitimately good game. Like, just going off the back of the box in the store, it's probably pure luck that I didn't end up with something completely terrible. So I feel like I lucked out. I got a fun game as my first purchase. So I'm curious, do you remember the first game that you ever bought with your hard-earned cash? And if so, let me know down in the comments. In the meantime, thank you for joining me on Storytime with the Old Man of Gaming, and we'll see you next time.